With 11, we've got to first figure out what our equations are before we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And then figure out what is the value of when x is 5, when it's 0, when it's 3, when it's 2, so on and so forth. So first thing that we need to do is look to see, like, for f of x, what are we doing each time? Or what is, like, is it linear? Is it exponential? What's happening to our equation, okay, as we go? Like, what is the equation? What's the function of f of x? Like, how would we write it out? If f of x is equal to, what is it equal to? What would be the rest of the equation? What's happening from one step to the next? We're subtracting 5. Okay, so it's going down by 5 each time. So then that was, so if we have, so first off, if it's going down by 5, that's what we are multiplying our x by. So that's going to be negative 5x. Now, if we plug in 0 for x, or 1 for x, or 2 for x, whatever, and we need to get the value that is placed here or here, what do I need to add to negative 5x to get a positive 18? Or if I take negative 5 times 1, what do I have to add to it or subtract to it to get a positive 18 if x is 0, or a positive 13 if x is 1? What value is going to go on the back end right here? This is stuff that we did back in chapter 1, chapter 2. So this is stuff that we probably need to know how to do if we're going to be a quality Algebra 2 student. So plus 18. Now we're going to have to do the same thing again for g of x. But in this case, it's not subtracting by a constant value the entire time. But what are those values doing to go from 64 to 32 to 16 to 8 to 4 to 2? Yeah, it's getting halved, right? So I'm going to have 1/2. Okay. What is 1/2 times what value? Okay, so 1/2 to the x value times what? Where did we start at? Okay, 64, so times 64. So the base is what we keep going down by. And we're just going to continually multiplying 1/2 times itself, because we can go by 1/4. Or each time we take a half from it, okay, we would take a 4th. We could take an 1/8. We could take a 16th, so on, so forth. Okay, depending on what value we have as far as in terms of my function for x. Again, this is all stuff from Algebra 1, so this should be stuff that you should still remember how to do. Okay? The hard part shouldn't be really being able to add, because if we are going to add, can we add anything with 5x, negative 5x plus 18, and 1/2 x times 64? Is there anything we can add there? Is there anything that's common? I'm going to take that as a no, judging by your silence. So if I have f plus g, and I'm going to add these two together, I'm going to have negative 5x plus 18 plus 1/2 to the x power times 64. Nothing can combine. So then it just becomes plugging in a 5 for each value. So I'm going to take negative 5 times 5, or I can just go to my table and I can look that when x is 5, I'm going to have negative 7, excuse me, plus 2, and it's going to give me my value. I'm going to do the same thing when f minus g. So when everything is x, I'm going to take 18 minus 64.